No.
Let's go chew the fat. Sorry. Welcome peeps to podcast 6023 of Raw. Today we're here with Nico from Marvell Street Coffee Roasters. If any of you have been to Byron Bay, no doubt you've drank a Marvell Street coffee. But I know Nico from a different life, when we used to live in Sydney. He was a real estate agent, carnivore, playboy of the eastern suburbs, and then he disappeared to resurface in Byron Bay as a vegan, family man, coffee roaster on Marvell Street. Now rent is always a challenge in business, but I remember, for us as a business, when we started a little Farmer Joe business, we start same as you, so a little shop, much smaller than
I remember your shop.
Smaller shop.
Your shop was awesome.
Roasting and music back, and then it got bigger as people wanted muesli.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a bit like yourself. You started roasting for yourself, and I'm guessing people showed an interest.
Yeah.
Customers said, "Can I get cafes?"
I remember coming into your shop in Fergus Street. Is it Fergus?
Yeah. Well, where Fergus comes, Forbes, so at the top end.
Yeah, Forbes and Fergus. Is it the corner?
Oh, yeah, in the corner of Fergus, near the cricketers' arms.
James took me down there and
had a bowl of
we
porridge.
had a bowl of porridge, a bowl of muesli. It was summer, I remember.
Yeah.
It was hot. And I wondered how you could run a business selling muesli. I was like, is that even possible?
So that we every time we told people that.
And I remember going in and seeing Sally in there making mueslis and stuff. That was 2007.
Yeah, so we're 10 years, so we're coming up for 10 years, same as you, so we're 10 years in June. So next year, so actually this year. So
I think it was a good time for cafes. And
it was
a good time for cafes, yeah. I started working in cafes in 2000 and made coffee and kind of was in and out of cafes. So to buy the cafe, it was kind of something that I'd always thought I would like to do.
I remember you said Linda was making a lot of her own raw vegan treats.
Yeah, I mean, to make
it's kind of the first time I'd heard that.
Yeah.
Somebody talking about that.
Linda was doing all the baking. I mean, at home we had like 3 mixers and 3 ovens. We had 3 domestic ovens and a plywood bench, 3 mixers on top, and Linda would be like freezing pre-made cakes and stocking up, and there was no cakes in the display or hell would break loose. But we really like the early morning trade was easy. It just seemed easy, but the afternoon trade was difficult. And I think that's probably the case with most cafes. We just focused on cake and coffee. It was like brownies, panna cottas. People just come in for, it was $10. Come in for a homemade treat, cake and a coffee. And it just used to pump. I think we calculated Linda made 75,000 individual cakes in a year.
75,000 mouse.
Like something ridiculous. It was a crazy figure. Those ovens were going flat out.
This reminds me when we used to reminisce. We were having a chat with a New York marketing agency, and they said, "How do you guys do what you do?" Because when we started, it was a bit like what you said, that everything has to be done by us because no one else can do it as good as we can. And we would have dehydrators all through the house. You'd wake up, your eyes would be fucking stinging with the smell of orange or pineapple, and it was like your fingers would be all chopped to bits.
I think that's the number one rule of business: is do stuff that doesn't scale. Don't worry about the scale at the beginning. Just do it awesome,
and then grow as you go. Sometimes you can stand on the sideline with too many questions. It's a bit like me with these podcasts. I've been wanting to do these podcasts for a while, and we can stand, and me and Dylan can sit and we can build a program, and we just think, fuck it, let's just start. Let's get into, because people want to hear your story.
Danny's perfect.
And it's a conversation. That's why we just start with it and just free flow the conversation. Last week we had an interview with Andrew from Combi,
Oh yeah.
Now I thought we were going to be sitting
Love
chatting
it,
about
love it.
acai bowls.
Yeah.
We spoke about everything but acai bowls.
Oh, yeah.
And he had to cut us, so we've got a part 2 coming up.
Oh, cool.
Just because we were just speaking about life, death, love, compassion,
Yeah.
just great stories that need to be told. He also said to say hello.
Yeah.
But so at what point did you? So in your business, you got Bayleaf. So if you get to Byron Bay, no doubt you're going to get to Bayleaf. It's probably one of the biggest cafes in Byron, isn't
It is now.
it? It is now.
But back then it was like there was Top Shop, Bayleaf,
Yeah, Top Shop, forgot about
and
the
there was
hill.
Succulent, and Basic Fresh, and Mocha. I think they were kind of the cafes in town. And it's like 18 seats.
Hmm.
You know.
And now it's
So
got-
we had to get 20. We got to 21 seats outside. I mean, the challenge for me was getting as many seats in as possible.
Squeeze them in.
So what was the question?
At what point did you think, when you had the business going
Yeah.
and the coffee roaster going, at what point did you give? Like, did you have? What brought you to the point of saying, "Fuck it, something's got to give"?
When I couldn't work in both simultaneously.
Right.
Because I think people have this notion that you buy a cafe and then you let people run it and you go on holidays.
In a perfect world.
And it just runs itself.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen.
If you're Starbucks,
So-
maybe. With
Yeah,
low-rate
that's,
jeans.
that's not a cafe, right? It's like a McDonald's version of...
It's a system.
Yeah, which has its place, you know. And I think people have achieved, you know, the cafe that you don't work in all the time, but you're always working on it. You know, I got really sick, obviously probably because of the stress, you know, from all of the business and money. You know, like couldn't pay my bills. At some point, to buy the coffee roaster, I didn't pay my GST, and I got the GST money and got a loan to buy the coffee roaster, and then I forgot you had to buy coffee beans to like roast.
That's the nature of a growing business.
And then so like you kind of like, you know, and I think that became quite stressful for us. And then we started doing nights to try and get some more cash flow in. So we're doing days, nights, roasting coffee, 2 shops, and Linda and I were doing 18-hour days. You know, I think I stood behind that bar for like, out of the 4 years that we owned it, I would have stayed behind that coffee machine for at least 3 years, for consecutive days. You know, like there was only 1 year that I was out of it, taking time off, and if you accumulate the days. So I was in there, or I was roasting coffee, or I was sleeping, and that was it for 4 years. So at some point I had to go, well, and I was sick, so I was like, well, something's got to give, and I suppose that was the thing that would give me the most space. And you know, so we actually sold the cafe, cut our wholesale in half, so it was manageable, and I got better, worked on my health. And
Is that when you became vegan?
yeah. I think I went through a whole thing. So did the paleo thing, did the keto thing, I did all these other things, you know.
Leading
And
up
then 3 or 4 years ago, I read a book about, you know, I think I typed on Google how not to die from autoimmune disease, and Dr. Gregor's book came up, How Not to Die. So I'll just buy that. So I've read that, and then it was, you know, so I've been vegan since, and that's kind of given me the strength to. It's fixed my autoimmune disease anyway.
By what you eat?
Me?
No, by what you eat.
Oh yeah.
Food be your,
what do you eat? Just plants.
food be your medicine.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So when we spoke, and you told me you were vegan when I first came up here.
Mushrooms and vegan. You were
Well,
like,
mushrooms
who's
had
this
no
guy?
fucking idea of vegan.
And now.
Because coming from Sydney,
Yeah.
there probably is those discussions that take place in the city, but I was aware of other things, but not. For me, a vegan was a very militant, strong-minded, angry person marching down the street with a fucking badger or something.
It cares more about the animals than
themselves.
Which you end up getting to. Like, if you stop eating them, you end up getting to this point where you care more about the animals than you do yourself.
Yeah.
That's just this thing that happens by not eating them.
But
You're killing them.
and then mushrooms, he was having, his functional mushrooms are now coming into things, so life cycle, whatever. He was having these mushrooms when I first arrived here 3 years ago, and I thought, what the fuck is this stuff you're eating? And he goes, just try it. And then they would mix up drinks like this. I said, why are you having that? He goes, mental clarity, focus, check it out, this stuff's going to be massive, mushroom. And then his flatmate, is now life cycle.
All right.
They got the life cycle mushrooms, that sort of stuff.
That's great stuff.
And I thought, fucking Nico was onto something. And I thought, maybe these vegans are onto something. So then I started to look more as I moved into Byron Bay and we got exposed to.
But I suppose that those steps happen. Like you stop going out and drinking beer and getting hammered, and then you kind of start to think about, oh, well, how can I live till 90 and be awesome? And then once you start going down that road of longevity, then you realise you got to have this antioxidant rich diet. You want to be kind to yourself, but then you also want to achieve. So you want that. For me, I'm quite competitive, so I always want to have the advantage. So I'm always searching for that advantage, and that advantage for me is, kind of performance as well. So when I go down and do a job, I want to be able to do it as well as possible. And you've had gluten now. You have gluten in Australia. You have gluten, and you kind of get this brain fog for like 2 hours after you eat it, 3 hours after you eat it. So that's an example of some gluten-free vegan. It's an example of just focusing on just eating good food.
It's funny how you say like gluten. So for us with a muesli business, a granola business, oats in Australia contain gluten.
That's only because they're milled.
But oats anywhere in the world are gluten-free.
Yeah.
So
is that just because they're milled?
Because they do land sharing. So 1 year wheat, next year oats, and then it goes through the same mill. So the contamination of it. Whereas you can actually go and buy gluten-free oats in America. You can import them, but you can't legally sell them here as gluten-free oats. Yeah. You can't even.
But the issue with wheat and gluten really is the fact that I think that the farmers use glyphosate to dry the wheat, so you don't want that cross contamination with the oats, and that's why I'm sensitive to oats.
They use it with oats.
To wheat.
They use it as oats because when this glyphosate thing came out of China, we contacted our manufacturer. And they said nothing leaves our factory with any trace of glyphosate. It has to be zero at the point of when it leaves the factory. I said, but do you use it? And he says, all Australian farming,
use it.
We use glyphosate.
Except for the organic guys.
They don't use it. Well, I hope not.
So if you buy hopefully if you buy organic oats, then it's processed in an organic facility that also processes organic wheat, because they have to have their facilities. So we just buy organic oats. And I don't have any issues with that.
The only issue with a commercial amount of organic oats in Australia is there's not enough.
Not enough of it.
It's not enough of it. So if you go and buy oats from, say countries that produce oats are like Finland. Finland grows enough oats for the world, and they don't even farm it. There's just enough sun. It's where they grow naturally, and you can buy Finnish oats landed here in Australia.
You know what? I had the best oats, and they're from Finland. Harvest. It's called Harvest. The packaging is called Harvest.
Finland naturally grows oats without cultivation. It just same as Scotland. Scotland's got them as well.
He's Scottish.
G'day, mate. No worries. If Kerry's done. Hang on, we got off track there. What was the conversation leading up to that, Dylan?
It was about
jumping to coffee roasting. That's what it was.
It was about how oats are really good in Ireland.
Scotland.
It's not Irish.
But that's the chemicals. Scottish.
I do that.
I'm Scotty.
I know.
Scotty, man.
From Scotland.
So you moved to be vegan. That's what it was, a vegan. So he was like my first real vegan I met. And then from vegan and me being quite dismissive of some of the stuff he was saying, I thought, fuck, he's a militant. Some of this stuff's too strong. I kind of would go away, I would tell Sally.
For we interrupt that though, the only way, like, I went from being fucking on the lounge, not being able to move, like walk up the stairs, literally walk up the stairs and have to sit down. So like literally thought I was going to die. And to within 4 days, to like going on a surf trip and surfing every day, and being fine. And I was eating cabbage and rice, So for me, it was like within 4 days, I'd gone from being, had this big goiter on my neck, and I was, it was like, can we get our wheels done?
Just in case.
So
risk.
So that's why for me, I'm militant. I'm just like, I just can't afford to go back to that place.
But I think you're militant as well as every other vegan I know is militant. Yeah. And what I'm getting to is the point of this new breed of vegan, which is a plant-based.
Yeah.
So I'm now a plant-based person. Yeah. You've influenced my decisions as well as a mate from Aldo, who's been vegan for as long as I remember. He was vegetarian. It's Di Lorenzo Aldo, the coffee.
Aldo, I was going to say that's Aldo from Di Lorenzo.
And he's been vegan for the last.
I think a lot of people doing high-stressed jobs see the benefits straight away.
Last night's meal, we have a family meal every Wednesday, and it was total vegan.
Whole family?
Whole family, all of us.
There's
And
like,
George,
there's like 32 of you.
always
right?
George pops in. George is part of that.
Right.
The only thing that probably wasn't vegan was the red wine that was probably thin with some egg stuff.
Buy some really good organic Australian wines there, mate.
Yeah, for sure, you can 100%. But the good thing for us as a business, so we class ourselves as a plant-based business
Right.
or vegan. So the only thing we don't use that, say, Nico might be against is we use honey.
Right.
But someone that's plant-based, like myself, we can step in and we can step out. So you can check into a plant-based diet,
I have honey.
and you can. Do you do?
Yeah.
But some people wouldn't, right? Some people would just say,
I get honey. I break the rule there for two reasons. Number one is that it's really good for you, especially if you have honey that is manufactured, grown,
but you probably get local honey, right?
be juiced,
Yeah.
be juiced.
But just, I
Um,
like vegan. You like vegan as a word?
Be
I
juiced.
think it was your word.
Be
I
juices.
think that came from you. You told me to use vegan.
Vegan.
I
Yeah.
think it was you, and I've claimed it.
Yeah. Well, my theory is that animals aren't getting harmed. They're helping native wildlife, and we buy honey from local producers that we know aren't feeding them sugar
Yeah.
and actually benefiting the ecosystem
Mm.
here, and they help with allergies because they help. They give
And
you
have done
allergens
for
for
centuries.
yeah. So it's just positives,
Mm.
you know. So I don't do coconut
Yeah.
oil. I don't do any. We don't do any oil at all.
Mm.
Zero oil, you know. But we do bees,
Mm.
you know. So.
I was
But,
talking,
but your product, I've bought some of your product recently.
so we do use
And it's
coconut
yummy.
oil, macadamia oil, and but you've always said to me you like to buy. So we do use organic ingredients,
Yeah.
but we don't claim it
Yeah.
purely because we can't be guaranteed of the supply. Because the mistake we made a long time ago is we would say all the organic stuff, but then you couldn't get organic quinoa, you couldn't get organic oats, you couldn't get organic almonds.
It's the same with coffee though as well. Like we have one coffee in our line that's organic and certified organic. Really hard to get specially grade organic coffee. That tastes good. Just because it's organic doesn't mean that it's good.
Yeah, it's always been an issue.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's good for the planet,
Yeah.
but it mightn't be tasty. So to get specialty grade is really expensive and it's really hard to get. Whereas all the other coffees that we get are usually high-grown, uncertified coffees. They would have some chemical fertilizers put on them, no doubt. But the higher the altitude, the less possibility that that's happening. You know, Ethiopia, 2,000 meters. You're not going to have, you know, an Ethiopian family that have 10 trees in the front yard putting petrochemicals on their trees. That's not happening, you know. So those small lot producers that are just taking their lots to, it's just like how it was. So we call that traditional prep.
So talking about coffee, so your beans differentiated to say another coffee company. How is your beans? Are you using the same beans, or are you specifically choosing the beans from your suppliers?
We kind of work with. It's funny because the whole vegan thing kind of you end up growing into this space where you care about where everything's grown. I mean, you could be not vegan and think that as well, but I'm just saying, for me personally, I started having more of an awareness about food in that plant-based transition. So then you start considering, okay, cool, then where's this coming from? So we don't buy coffees that are low-grown, that are heavily fertilised.
So coffees that are low grown, what does that mean for?
So like Brazil is one of those areas.
Right.
I mean, you can get organic coffees in Brazil and you can get high grown coffee in Brazil, but majority of the coffee grown in, say, Vietnam, Brazil, is flat plains, 800 metres, and mechanically, you know, processed. So we're quite, but that's to say Brazil doesn't produce awesome coffee. It does.
It does.
It does. We
Yeah.
just pick coffee that is of a certain quality.
I remember one time I was in your roasting plant and coffee was there packaged like a nice new pair of shoes. It was all like vacuum
Yeah,
packed
yeah,
in
it's
a
like-
flip box.
Yeah, yeah, and that costs money.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it costs us like $1 a kilo just to get the coffee cleaned, vac packed, and you know it's all there's ultraviolet light that it goes under, and anything that's bad it spits out the bad coffees. So it's all processed so that it's as good as possible when it arrives. It's super. I call it super specialty because the specialty thing kind of anyone can use it. So we buy coffee from Central America, so El Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, Colombia, Colombia's south, and then Ecuador, sometimes Bolivia, but Central. Colombia's amazing this time of year. It's my favourite coffee is Colombian. And then Africa at that time of year. So usually, the Africans are being harvested and processed right now and bought. They'll arrive in June. Then Central's, will arrive later on in the year. But Kenya, Ethiopia, we do all the regions of Ethiopia. So there's like Sidamo and Yergeshev and Guji are probably the main areas, and there's sub areas within those. We kind of
those two from Matobi's days.
Yeah.
Back in the day,
it'd be just like Yergeshev was like the tag. Now under Yergeshev, there's there's all the layers of kosher, or the milling name. I think we've got one here. What is it? Halibaridi, which is Ethiopian. That's a Yergeshev as well.
How many blends do you do?
Well, it's so funny because we were going to go to this point where we were going to do no blends, just singles, but we've got to be commercial. So, the good stuff.
Online.
The good stuff online. We do 5 blends now. Organic, which is organic coffee. Everyone should be buying organic. If I could buy all the coffee organic, I would. It's good for the planet, right? Organic, we do, which is like a dark kind of traditional roast, darker. It's got some strength. Your favourite coffee?
My favourite.
You can pull a double Riz with
blend.
it. Pull a little double Riz.
Nothing too fruity in that one.
And then we have Firebird and Thunderbird.
Yeah.
Thunderbird's one of our old favourites. It's got a washed coffee and a honey processed coffee in it. Then we have Firebird, which is a honey washed and natural, like all 3 processes of coffee. And then we have Daily Grind, which is my favourite. Usually Central American super light espresso roast. It's fruity and.
What's the most popular? What would customers expect to see in Marvell Street now? A cafe?
It's funny because the new additions always end up
in the shops.
Yeah,
I think
it's just kind of evolving into supply demand thing. Like they're looking, so for us the fibre blend's really popular now, and organic. Thunderbird's kind of making a comeback because it's got a better price point. Daily Grind is Daily Grind, and that's. But they kind of all sit around. I think Firebird and organic are our biggest sellers. That's probably because they're the punchiest coffees. The other ones are quite delicate.
And nothing Australian. You wouldn't use any Australian stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
We had Billy up at Friday Hut Coffee. He's in his 70s as a photographer. He's English. He's amazing. Unfortunately, he got quite sick last year, so we couldn't get any of his coffee. But the year before, we helped with his processing. We all did the research. Wrote to Tim Windelbow, said, what's the most important thing that our guy can do? And he sent us a video. And as soon as we got this coffee, and it's only 300 metres, and just processed it cleanly, and picked all the, sorted and picked, and only picked the good ones, and it was beautiful. So we released it across Australia, all of our shops, and at 12 o'clock on a Friday, we got everyone to pull espressos. It was about $8 a kilo was the price, because we kind of, figured out how much it would actually cost. He's doing it all for free and love. It was $80 a kilo. I think that's what we estimate it would cost a small scale farmer in Australia to actually produce coffee. $80 a kilo. That's
what is that green? So before it even gets to you?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's to me profitable.
Yeah.
You got to hand pick them, right?
Yeah. I mean, like the ones I've always in Ocean Shores.
So would you trust someone else to go to the shop and buy your apples for you? You always get these flowery old apples, Anyway.
Remember the ones, a mate's backyard in Ocean Shores has got a coffee tree, and I picked a stack of them. Maybe like a little jam jar full of beans.
We made some, we roasted it.
Showed them to Nico, he goes, mate, you got to dry them, dried them. And then we roasted them, and it was fucking not bad, wasn't it?
That's great.
For a coffee that grows in some guy's backyard next to a play park.
Yeah. Well, I think the point is that it's not hard if the coffee is treated well. The right ones are picked. You don't over dry it, and it's consumed quickly after being picking. And that's probably the problem with this, is that it sits on can sit on a cargo ship for 6 to 8 weeks. And the coffees that are being harvested now in Ethiopia, we don't get those until June, July. So 6 months.
6 months. So
6 months.
picking,
So all the
washing,
all
drying.
the coffee's got like, is in grain pro bags or vac packed to try and keep it stable. But the slower you dry it, the longer it lasts.
I remember my time at Toby's when I used to walk through the roasting facility. They had this thing called the de-stoner.
Oh yeah.
So, but in that, they would find like bullets,
Oh yeah.
lead.
Totally.
People would load the bags up with lead
Totally.
to try and get more weight for the coffee. Half a gun, big lead stick.
Yeah, because they
So much shit.
Because they turn up. They turn up with a bag and get paid per kilo.
Yeah, per weight. These bags were filled with so much weight just to get a bigger crop.
We've got to have a destoner. And lots of our coffee is destoned twice. So like, just because of virtue, it gets destoned on the way in with big magnets, and then destoned on the way out. So.
And if that gets through, so sometimes that gets through the process, gets to your customer, and smashes the grinder.
Yeah.
And that does happen. So the grinder, the
Yeah.
customer gets pissed off, you get pissed off, the grinder's bust, and you're going to send someone there.
Yeah. That's.
They're going to fix it.
No one wants to pay for new grinders.
No. How do you find relationships with other coffee roasters?
Yeah,
do you have a good relationship with them?
Yeah, it's quite
very
good.
competitive industry, so most people always
I
keep themselves for
think
themselves.
the good guys are good guys. And the more commercial guys do what they do, and that's life, right? That's life. The more commercial guys are gonna just do what they can to undercut you and get the business, and then the guys that understand that it's not about 100% about profit, and looking after everyone in the chain. Those guys generally, conduct themselves in a professional manner. But it's the big guys that are, fucking assholes. They'll just go in and undercut and it's kind of like the Woolies model. They get that. They just go in and hey. I think if your customer is at that point, then clearly they are distressed and they're doing everything they can to remain profitable.
I remember.
And that's a difficult situation for them. They don't want to be buying a product that is maybe not as good, but cheaper. Yeah.
It's a pressure price. When I used to sell coffee in Sydney, you would lose a customer for $1 or 50 cents. But he would think, $1, if you're doing 20 kilos a week, it's $20. If you're doing 40 kilos, it's $40. It's like, fuck's sake.
Yeah.
So you're going to lose me for a couple of cups of coffee.
That's
the industry.
That's the industry. Right?
Unless you're at the higher end, like your end, I think customers choose your brand. It's less about price.
We're seeing a lot of people move from the more. Generally, our business is based around. Let's not take anyone's business. Let's just find the baristas that are going to open a cafe and work with them. That's been our model today. So not really sales, just working with baristas as best we can, forming relationships, giving them confidence, helping them brew awesome coffee simply. When you ask why Marvell Street, for me, when I was using a Sydney coffee, when I first opened Bailey, we were supposed to be the best. It was just wasting heaps of coffee. It was all going in the knock tube. At the end of the day, it was just piles of it. So for me, the frustration was, okay, first cut perfect. And I kind of worked on that system, the first cut perfect. So now we try and get these baristas like, well, you don't have to turn up to work an hour before work. You just put the coffee in the handle, weigh it, make sure it's right, have your technique down, press the button, and that first cut should be perfect. It should be an A. And that's kind of where we've been getting our business from. Just those people going, we've worked with the commercial stuff. They want us to put as much coffee in the basket as possible. They want us to waste coffee. If you're still doing this and doing this,
bang, 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 bang,
it's
bang,
just
bang,
like,
bang, bang, bang.
It's like, just pretend that's $100 notes.
Yeah.
Off the top of the pile.
Cash money.
Cash money.
You and Floyd Mayweather.
But what we're seeing is that these cafes that are high turnover, high volume, that are paying $10 less a kilo, want to use our coffee because they can see that there's probably more like 25 to 50% wastage. So the kilo price isn't everything. It's how does it perform? How often you have to change your burrs. There's so many things.
Burrs is grinders for Dylan, in case he doesn't know what that is.
Staff retention. Having staff wanting to work with your product.
Do you remember like 10, 15 years ago, when I first came to Sydney 19 years ago, it was Ely, Segafredo, Vittoria, Lavazza, maybe Grinders. Grinders.
But Grinders was specialty.
And I think that was, they were the special one. Mario.
Special.
I think that was it, wasn't it? That was the main brands.
Danes.
Danes from the Northern Beaches. Danes, Bellaroma, they were still there.
Well, Bellarona's now, I think.
But they've all kind of disappeared. I don't see any of those brands, even Grinders to this degree. You might see it at ANZ Stadium or a fucking big stadium.
Fish heads serve Grinders.
I don't go there really. I get taken away for the kids at the pool. Chips. But no, I prefer the fishmonger in the corner because it's real proper chips. But all those brands that dominated the cafe market, they've all fucking gone. And I remember when I got a job in Molinari and I went to Italy to go and meet the guys that owned Molinari. I was telling them about the coffee market in Australia, and they were saying, no, 7 grams per shot, that's a coffee. And I was saying, no, in Australia it's fucking
21.
Well, it says 21, but the way we grind it really fine,
28.
It's 28, because they grind quite coarse.
Yeah.
That's what's it. Their coarse grind is a 7 gram basket, but their fine grind is nearly 14 or 12, and so on. And I was trying to explain to them that we don't do these big long shots, we want like 13 mil shots, 15 mil shots, we want these ristretto shots, and they couldn't comprehend it. And I was saying, but you're going to sell more coffee. They said, how? I said, because the customers...
The basket's bigger.
Basket's bigger, less caffeine, more
3
flavour.
times as much.
The customers go to 3 or
4
4
times as much.
I says, we don't drink espresso and then go. No, we're going to go in and we're going to sit, get the paper, or I'm going to get my takeaway. And there's the process to us having the coffee. We're not...
Yeah, Aussies drink heaps of beer too, so like they want a strong coffee in the
and
morning.
like they couldn't get their head around these giacchinos. They said, what do you do with all the milk? I said, they drink it.
Yeah. Well, I think times have changed again. They're kind of... We've been at 20 grams in the basket for, split shots. We can get the same strength of coffee, as a big double shot.
Yeah.
But it's going back the other way for sure. Especially as the younger generation comes through, and they don't want these big, stupid double shot, triple shot coffees. That's what I'm finding.
It's amazing. People would say to me, "Oh, I can't lose weight. I can't lose weight." I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I only have a couple of coffees a day." I said, "It's not remove the word coffee from what you're drinking. You're drinking fucking litre of milk."
Especially if they're 300
with
mils.
a little bit
300 mils is like, so it's like 600 mils.
That shit's going to make a cow get to half a tonne in a month, 3 months.
A 12-ounce cup is 350 mils. So that's like 700. If you got all the milk that you drank on a week, 750 mils. So seven. It's like 5 litres of milk a week just in your coffee, not in your cereal.
Yeah, all the other stuff.
Black coffee. Hang on that note. Black coffee.
How long have we gone?
We have gone almost 39 minutes.
Oh, wicked! So this is where Dylan gets a chance to ask a crazy question. So normally at this stage, I took this in his podcast, where he'll ask something. Fire away, Dylan.
So what's your weirdest little habit or something that you do every day that you don't know if everyone else does?
My weirdest habit.
Yeah.
That no one else does.
It would be normal to you.
I've got a breathing method called Wim Hof.
Oh, I took a cold shower this morning.
Yeah. So I do that.
Wim Hof's
every day.
Do you have the ice bath?
Most days, not every day. Most days I wake up, Wim Hof in the morning, gets me ready. I wake up in the morning, I've got a little bit of anxiety about what I might be doing for the day, and then I just breathe through it, and then usually fine. I was a bit anxious about this for some reason.
Yeah, and we did ask me that question, give me a list of questions, and I thought, I don't really have them. So on the way here, when I was coming from Mullen, I was like, all right, so Nico, I start with an opening question, and then just, because the whole thing of this is raw, it's just, you might have not wanted to speak about coffee, you might have wanted to speak about property and Byron, whatever.
That's another topic, isn't it?
We just allow things to roll and then try and capture that when we cut it into something. But Wim Hof, I've started doing my cold shower, so I watched this TV program the other day about how Wim Hof cured himself of many things. And
that's mainstream, so it's not.
Oh no, he talks about it now.
What's
ice bath?
What's something weirder then?
There's the guy in the Habitat who now does the ice bath.
Cool.
Do you want to hear what Scott said on my podcast? Right. He said he picks his bum and smells it.
All right.
That's true. No one else knew that unless they get close to my fingers.
That's pretty weird. I didn't realise you wanted that weird.
Well, not anyway, just like...
I do it at the start, so then it breaks the ice, you laugh, and it gets your mind thinking. So then you start thinking on deeper thoughts. But
I don't have enough pairs of socks, So I'll probably smell those and make sure they're right.
Yeah, I whisper.
I won't
Sometimes
smell
you get too.
weird.
Don't you think sometimes you get too close? You're like, oh, I should have just smelled it from
I definitely smell my socks. And then it goes, how can you smell those? They're fucking gross.
Everyone's got something.
Yeah. So I don't have enough pairs of socks.
Yeah.
Anyway, because I don't wear shoes.
You
I
don't
wore
wear
shoes today. You guys are filming me, so I better wear shoes and socks.
Well, normally, it's like, by living in Byron Bay, I just don't wear shoes. It's nice to go barefooted.
Imagine all the nutrients you pick up, especially where you live.
Well, I spoke to I suppose you call it a foot doctor, and I said, give me one tip. He goes, mate, don't wear shoes.
Oh.
I said, I was told if you don't wear shoes, your feet become too splayed. He said, yes, that's exactly how you're supposed to be grabbing the earth. And he goes, don't wear thongs. He goes, because your feet are always grabbing like that. You're not.
I have this theory too that if you wear, especially where you live on beautiful dirt. If you're walking on that dirt, you must be getting calcium and magnesium and all of that.
You do feel good when you walk on nice grass and that earth with no shoes on, until the big fucking ant bites you. Big ants.
But then you get used to those too, right?
Oh, but you know, it's the weird thing. These ants are maybe that big,
The big
red
ones,
things.
the fire ants.
And then what happens is you feel numbness.
Yeah.
You think, what was that? And then the pain comes. You feel numbness hit your foot first, and then the pain comes. It's like, oh my god! And you see it, you're still hanging onto your fucking foot.
I was standing in the garden the other day, and I saw a snake chasing a butterfly. It's going, and then I got stung by an ant.
You did.
I was like,
what kind of snake was it?
and then I got a little whip snake.
So it was chasing a butterfly.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was like, oh, I wish Raven could see that, and then I got bitten by an ant and jumped off the ground.
I was reading something the other day about mindfulness. Part of it, so it used the butterfly as an analogy. It says your mind is like a butterfly. It's going to fly to fucking a million thoughts and land on a million fucking things.
Yeah.
It says what you're going to do is sometimes you're going to catch the butterfly and bring it back to the present. And I thought that's fucking good analogy. Sometimes your mind can just be racing too many things.
I think that's where, for me, that's where the mushrooms help too, keeping focused. No pen and pen.
Also means
Joe taught me that.
Oh, you know, so we've been talking about writing stuff down.
Yeah.
So
Stop doing that.
Getting control of your mind. Last year was all about Instagram, and it fucking sent me nuts. Because now behind you, I've got my book, and so when I fly, I suffer from mild anxiety. I don't like
because of the disconnection.
It's like anticipation anxiety. I just want it to go.
Yeah.
Just fucking come on.
Yeah.
So when they shut the door, they said, "Come on," it's like, and then my mind starts to race.
Yeah.
It starts to race. So what I did, I learned this little technique, and I thought, if I'm going to hold my mind, I'm going to read it to you. So 6:22, sweaty palms but feeling okay. This is going to be an excellent day. Plane delayed by 15 minutes. So far, I like the Virgin flight because I flew Virgin. Very enjoyable and much better than Jetstar. I think from now on, I'll be a Qantas or a Virgin flyer that gets my money. Very enjoyable. Happy staff. Debate is tea or green tea. We're up in the sky at 6:25 en route to Melbourne. First flight. Now that all took place in 3 minutes. Yeah. But if I didn't do that, my mind would have been fucking racing. Like, get off the plane, get off the plane.
I think it's the focus of just writing.
But it's
the
just
focus of writing.
The art of that and that.
Yeah, totally.
You've taken because your mind can only do one thing at a time.
Yeah, we're not very good multitaskers.
No, but we try to, and this is where the social media comes in.
Yeah.
So
often I go to my phone to do something, and then I've forgotten what I was meant to do, and then I'm like down this rabbit hole, trying breaking it,
and you get frustrated.
So I bought another phone. You know what I did? I bought another phone.
Smashed it.
No. What I'm doing is, and I haven't quite got there. The theory is that one doesn't have a phone, like an actual phone, like a SIM card in it, and has all of the social media and all of work in it. And then the other phone is just bare bones. Yeah. Bare bones, email, phone for work, email, phone, just bare bones. You know, so then don't check.
See, I like when I was trying to get my business, get something on. I used to go to my house and go to my computer desk. I would turn my computer on and I would sit there and I would be at a computer. And I kind of liked it. It was me telling myself, "This is it. It's work time." And then before that, it was a Nokia. It was a phone or a text. So everything else was here. Whereas nowadays, I mean, this is great. There's the benefit of these things because it allows you freedom.
Yeah, but I think it makes you dumb.
But it can
it makes you dumb. You know, like as far as if you're on it too much, you don't achieve much.
You lose yourself in rubbish.
Yeah.
It's a good vehicle to give the right messages. It's also a bad vehicle, it's like marketing, to get the wrong messages. and you can lose yourself, and you get this level of anxiety. I've started reading my books again at night time.
Very cool.
Fuck, it's a pleasure.
Awesome.
Read the book and just slowly calm the night down.
Yeah.
Don't take that bastard to bed, because you take that to bed,
Yeah.
I think, I'll watch some
Hey,
soccer.
we've got some chargers at home, those fast chargers where you
Line
put
one?
the phone on top of the charger and not plug them in. And there's there's one, and it's under this little box in the back corner of the house. Phone goes on there, and then it's out of the way.
I want to get back the home phone. I said, Sally, when we buy a house, I want the phone back. The old fucking twisty thing. I want these anticipated.
Oh, so you can remember the numbers too.
Yeah, just because this is taking too much. And I want to, when you go home, you can put the phone down.
I wonder if
and you get
I
run.
wonder if there's going to be a generation that comes through that decides that they don't want to do technology.
I think what goes around is, if you look at fashion and things, everything goes in a big cycle.
Yeah, hopefully it
We
does.
don't
Hopefully
really-
there's a generation that, because we're the last generation that
The generation after the island.
we're the last generation that have experienced some sort of life without connection or technology. You know, like, so when I was growing up, when I was 20 something, going to work, there was no mobile phone.
Yeah.
Or there was, but I wasn't having
Yeah.
one.
I think my first mobile phone came when I was 17, and the only person I could call was my mother.
Yeah.
Put the kettle on, mum. It was a flip, not Motorola flip thingy, and every phone call cost. Available online, Marvell Street, coffeeroasters.com/Nico. That's not really.
And Joe and Mike and Ray and Shota, they're all working here. They're amazing. Couldn't do it by myself. Thanks.
Perfect.
Hey,
One of our marvellous
Thanks,
special
man.
brands. Thank you,
you're
Nico.
amazing. You're a great fan.
We're all amazing.